My name is Richard, and I spent 30 years behind the wheel of a city bus before my son-in-law learned that some men hold their cards close to the chest. The phone rang at 6:14 in the morning. I know the exact time because I had just gotten up to use the bathroom, and the digital clock on my nightstand glowed green in the dark. My hand found the phone on the third ring. "Daddy." My daughter's voice broke the word in half. "Daddy, I don't know what to do." I was already sitting up, already swinging my legs over the side of the bed. Linda had been dead for 4 years, and I still kept her side of the bed made, still kept her pillow in place. The room felt cold even in summer. "Baby, talk to me." "What's wrong?" "It's Marcus. He took it. He took everything." I pressed the phone closer to my ear. My daughter had always been the steady one, the one who graduated college on time, who got a good job, who married a man with a business degree and a sharp suit. She didn't cry unless something was really wrong. "How much, sweetheart? How much did he take?" $70,000. "Our savings." "All of it." "He said he invested it. He said it would double." "But I checked, Daddy. I checked everything. There's nothing left. There's nothing." I heard her sobbing now, the kind of crying that takes over your whole body. I heard the rustle of what must have been her hand covering the phone. "I'm coming," I said. "I'm getting in the car right now." I didn't sleep for the rest of that night. I drove the 90 minutes from my house in Millbrook to their place in Cedar Falls in the early gray light, watching the sun come up over the tree line. The coffee from the gas station sat cold in the cup holder. I hadn't eaten anything. My stomach was a tight fist. Marcus met me at the door. He was wearing a blue polo shirt that cost more than my weekly grocery bill. His hair was combed back neatly, and he had that look on his face, the one he always wore when he thought he'd gotten one over on someone. I'd seen it at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, at the few family dinners we'd shared. It was the look of a man who believed he was smarter than everyone in the room. He didn't step aside to let me in. "Your daughter is hysterical," he said. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed over his chest. "I made a business decision. If you'd ever made money in your life, you'd understand." I didn't say anything. I looked past him into the house. The living room was neat, maybe too neat. Everything in its place. My daughter sat on the couch, her legs tucked beneath her. Her eyes were red and swollen. "I'm talking to you," Marcus said. "Did you hear me? This is a business matter. $70,000 is a lot to people like you, I get it. But I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for years." I looked at him. Then I looked at my daughter on the couch, the way she was holding herself, the way she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Step aside," I said. "Or what?" "Step aside, or I'm going to move you myself." He laughed. It was the kind of laugh that comes from a place of genuine amusement, the kind that tells you this person genuinely doesn't see you as a threat. He stepped to the side, still chuckling. "Besides," he said, as I walked past him into the house, "what's a retired bus driver going to do about it?" I stopped. I turned around slowly. "What did you say?" I said, "What's a retired bus driver going to do? You drove a bus for 30 years, Richard. You collect your pension. You sit on your porch. You don't know anything about business, about investments, about how the real world works. So do me a favor. Go home. Let the adults handle this." My daughter made a small sound from the couch. It might have been a whimper. It might have been a warning. But I heard it, and something in my chest tightened. "Go sit with your daughter," Marcus said. "Comfort her. That's what you're good at. That's all you're good at." I went to the couch. I sat down next to my girl. I put my arm around her shoulders, and I felt how thin she had gotten, how her bones felt close to the surface. She leaned into me, and she cried, and I held her, and I said nothing. But inside I was making a list. The first thing I did was call a man named Gerald. Gerald and I had worked together for 15 years on the bus. He drove the morning route. I drove the afternoon. We used to meet for coffee after our shifts, talking about nothing important, about sports, about our kids, about the news. He retired 2 years before I did, and after that, we lost touch. What Marcus didn't know, what nobody knew, was that before I drove that bus, I had a different life. When I was 25, I started a small company with Linda. She was my high school sweetheart, my everything. We rented a small office space in a strip mall, and we worked out of there, doing data entry for local businesses. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't exciting. But we worked hard, and we were smart, and slowly, the company grew. By the time I was 35, we had 40 employees. By the time I was 40, we had clients in 6 states. Linda handled the books. I handled the operations. We were a team. Then she got sick. The diagnosis came in March of 2015. Pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave her 6 months. We fought for 2 years. In that time, we sold the company to a larger firm, not because we had to, but because the stress was killing her, and I needed to focus on keeping her alive. The sale gave us enough to pay off our house, to put money away for our retirement, and to make sure our daughter had everything she needed for college. After Linda died, I took a year off. Then I got bored. So I applied to be a bus driver. It was something different. Something simple. Something where I didn't have to think about contracts or clients or quarterly reports. I drove that bus for 15 years, and I enjoyed it. I met good people. I listened to audiobooks. I didn't have to answer to anyone. I never told anyone about the money. Linda and I had set up a trust years before she got sick using her maiden name. It sat in an account that only I knew about. $4.2 million sitting there, earning interest waiting. I had told myself I would leave it to my daughter when I died. I had told myself I would never touch it. It was Linda's money, really, her foresight, her planning. I was just a custodian. But now I was making a different plan. The first thing I needed was information. I called Gerald, and we met for lunch at a diner we used to go to. He looked older than I remembered, gray at the temples, lines around his eyes. But his handshake was still strong. "Richard! What the hell, man? It's been too long." "It has," I said. "I need a favor. Anything." I told him what had happened. I told him about Marcus, about the $70,000, about the way he had talked to me at the door. I left out the part about the trust. That wasn't his business. Gerald listened. He didn't interrupt. When I was done, he nodded slowly. "What do you need me to do?" "I need to know everything about his business. Who his partners are. Who he owes money to. What kind of deals he's been making." Gerald's son worked in finance. He had connections, people who could dig into things like this. It took him 3 days, but he got me what I needed. Marcus's company was bleeding money. He had been borrowing against his share of the business for months, using the funds to cover gambling debts. His business partner, a man named Tom Whalen, based in Delaware, had been covering for him, hoping Marcus would turn things around. But the situation was getting worse, not better. There were talks of bankruptcy. I also found out about the police report. 6 months ago, Marcus had filed a report saying that his wife, my daughter, had stolen money from their joint account. He had screenshots, he had a story. He had told the police she had taken $15,000 to give to me, that I had pressured her, that I was manipulating her for money. The police had investigated. They had found nothing. The case was still open, but it was going nowhere, and Marcus had stopped returning their calls. I had my daughter come to my house that weekend. We sat on my porch, drinking lemonade, watching the birds at the feeder I had put up in the spring. "Did he really say you stole from him?" I asked. She looked away. He needed a story. He needed to explain why the account was empty. He thought if he blamed me, you'd be less likely to make a fuss. And you let him do that? You let him tell the police you were a thief? She started crying again. What was I supposed to do, Daddy? He said he would fix it. He said it was temporary. I believed him. I put my hand over hers. I believe you, I said. And I'm going to fix this. The next 2 weeks were a blur of phone calls and meetings. I called Tom Whalen myself. I told him who I was, what I knew, and what I had. He was nervous. Anyone could hear it in his voice. He didn't want to be dragged into Marcus's mess. I'm not going to press charges, I told him. Not against you. I just need you to confirm what you told me. I need you to put it in writing. What do I get out of this? A clean slate. A partner who isn't going to drag you down with him. And I'll make sure the authorities know you cooperated fully. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Fine, he said. Send me an email. I'll respond with everything you need. I also hired a private investigator. It wasn't cheap, but I needed to be sure. I needed footage, documents, anything that would prove my daughter was innocent. What I got was better than I expected. The investigator found security cameras at a restaurant where Marcus had been meeting someone, a woman who wasn't my daughter. The footage showed them together, laughing, holding hands. The investigator traced her identity. She worked at a casino in Atlantic City. She had a record, too, small stuff, mostly, but enough to paint a picture. And then there was the bank statement. Marcus hadn't just taken $70,000 from the joint account. He had taken $200,000. He had been siphoning money out for months, moving it through a series of shell companies, trying to hide it. The $70,000 was just what my daughter had found. The rest was buried so deep she would never have seen it. I sat in my kitchen, reading through the documents, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Cold. Pure, calculating cold. The day I went back to their house, the sun was bright and the sky was blue. It was one of those perfect autumn days, the kind where the leaves are turning and the air smells like wood smoke. I drove my old Honda Civic, the one with the dent in the rear fender that I kept meaning to fix. Marcus answered the door again. This time, he wasn't laughing. What do you want? I want to talk, I said. Can I come in? He hesitated. Then he stepped aside. My daughter was in the kitchen. She was making a sandwich, or at least trying to. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the knife. I watched her struggle with it, and I felt my jaw tighten. "You should sit down," I said to her. "I'll handle this." She looked at me, and I saw something in her eyes that I hadn't seen before. She was scared. Not of Marcus, scared of me. Scared of what I might do. "Daddy, don't. Just sit down, sweetheart." She sat. I turned to Marcus. He was standing by the fireplace, trying to look calm, but I could see the way his fingers were gripping the mantel. "Your business partner called me yesterday," I said. "The one in Delaware. He said you borrowed against the company to cover your gambling debts." Marcus's face went white. "I also have the police report you filed. The one saying your wife stole from you. Which she didn't. I have surveillance footage proving otherwise." I pulled out my phone. I scrolled through the photos, the documents, the screenshots. I showed him each one, slowly, letting the weight of it sink in. "And there's more," I said. "A lot more." "What do you want?" His voice was barely a whisper. "I want you to sign a confession. I want you to admit to taking the money, to lying to the police, to everything. And I want you to agree to a divorce, with full custody going to my daughter." He stared at me. Then something shifted in his expression. The fear was gone, replaced by something harder, meaner. "You're bluffing." I dialed a number on my phone. I put it on speaker. "Tell them what you told me," I said. The voice on the other end was Tom Whalen's. "Mr. Richards, I'm calling to confirm that Marcus Brennan has been misappropriating company funds for the past 18 months. He has borrowed over $200,000 against our business, using the money for personal expenses and gambling debts. I have documentation of all transactions. I'm prepared to provide this information to the authorities." Marcus made a sound like he had been punched. "That's not," he started. "Save it," I said. "The police are on their way. You can explain it to them." He moved toward the door. I didn't stop him. He reached for the handle, twisted it, and nothing happened. The door was locked from the inside, secured by a keypad I had installed the week before. "What the hell?" "I replaced your security system," I said. "Last Tuesday. While you were at work. I told your wife I was checking the smoke detectors." He turned to look at my daughter. She was still sitting at the kitchen table, her hands folded in front of her, her face calm now. "You knew," he said. "You knew he was doing this." She looked at him. "I knew something was happening. I didn't know what. But I trusted my father." The sound of sirens filled the air. Red and blue lights flickered through the window. "Wait," Marcus said. "Wait, we can talk about this. We can work something out." I stepped closer to him. I lowered my voice so only he could hear. "You called me a retired bus driver. You told me I didn't know anything about the real world. You looked at me and you saw someone small, someone easy to dismiss." I paused. The sirens were getting louder. "But I know something you don't. I know that money isn't everything. I know that people aren't defined by their jobs. And I know that you messed with the wrong family." The door burst open. 2 detectives came in, followed by an officer. They took Marcus by the arms, read him his rights, led him out of the house. He didn't resist. He didn't say anything else. He just walked, his head down, his shoulders slumped. My daughter stood up. She walked to the window and watched as they put him in the car. Then she turned to me. "Thank you, Daddy." I pulled her into my arms. "You don't have to thank me," I said. You're my daughter. I'll always protect you. The next few months were hard. There was the divorce, the custody battle, the media coverage. Marcus ended up pleading guilty to fraud and embezzlement. He served 18 months in prison. When he got out, he moved to another state. My daughter didn't hear from him again. She moved back to Millbrook, into a small house 3 blocks from mine. She got a job at the community college, teaching accounting. She started to rebuild her life. I gave her the money from the trust. Not all of it, I still had plenty for myself, but enough to make sure she never had to worry about money again. She cried when I told her. She said she couldn't accept it. You're my daughter, I said. This is what mothers do. What fathers do. We take care of our kids. She named her first son after me. His name is Richard, just like mine. When I hold him, I think about Linda. I think about the life we built, the business we started, the years we spent together. I think about how she always said I was too proud, too stubborn, too proud to ask for help. She was right. But she also knew that I would do anything for our family. Anything at all. Here's what I learned from all of this. People will try to use you. They will look at what you have, what you do, and they will decide what you're worth. They will underestimate you. They will dismiss you. They will treat you like you're small, like you're nothing. But you don't have to let them define you. You don't have to prove them right. You just have to wait. You have to watch. You have to be patient. And when the time comes, when they least expect it, you show them exactly who you are. I spent 30 years driving a bus. I spent 40 years being a husband. I spent 50 years being a father. None of those things made me special. But I did them all with honesty, with integrity, with love. That's what matters. That's what lasts. And no one, not ever, can take that away from you. If this story resonated with you, join our channel by liking and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.